I'm going to share with you my labor and delivery story with twins. And if you haven't seen my previous video where I talk about my pregnancy story with twins, you should go ahead and watch that. And I also tell you how we found out we were having twins and everything that went along with that. Those are two separate videos, and the link for those will be down below in the description box. So I started having the blood pressure problem and being put on bed rest around 34 weeks. And at one point, I don't remember what my numbers were, but my blood pressures had gone up so high that my doctor was like, you're going to have to go ahead and go on hospital bed rest because I don't want you moving and I don't want your blood pressure going up any higher. You need to have somebody take care of your kids for you, and you need to be laying down because if your numbers get any higher, then we're going to have to induce you. And so that was really scary. So I went ahead and went on bed rest. And that was really hard because my husband was worried about me going into premature labor and having to be induced because of blood pressure problems and everything. So he stayed with me most of the time that I was in the hospital. He was really worried, and it was a really stressful time for him and my family. My parents kept my girls for me while I was on bed rest. So labor started on its own. No, this is what happened. The doctor came in, my good friend, my doctor, she said, we're going to go ahead and keep you until Friday. And that was Sunday. She said, we're going to go ahead and keep you until Friday. And if you haven't had your babies by then we're going to go ahead and induce you. And so that was Sunday, and I had been in there since that Wednesday. And I was like, okay. I was ready to have those babies because I was laying in that hospital bed in pain. And I couldn't get up, and I just wanted to have the babies out. I was humongous, and I wanted those babies out. My labor ended up starting that night. I started being in pain in my back, and it started to get stronger and stronger.
Hello. 2 days before Nani's birthday, and you're supposed to be in the womb until next Friday. So looks like you guys want to come out early, so that's what's happening.
I'm a type of person that can take a lot of pain, and it takes a lot for me to speak up when I'm having pain. So I started speaking up, and then they started looking at the monitor and saying that, oh, your contractions are getting pretty strong. Are you feeling that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling that. Babies, I'm having a contraction right now. So what happened was they did the ultrasound to see the position of the babies, and it turned out the babies were, in fact, one head down, one up. So that meant C-section. So I was like, okay, C-section. I had to kind of come to terms with that really quickly. So the doctor said, you're going to have your babies right now. And I was like, right now? She was like, right now. Because they didn't want me going through labor. That would have caused my blood pressures to spike up. And I don't know if you guys know, when you have high blood pressure, that could cause stroke and seizures and all kinds of bad problems. So they didn't want my blood pressure climbing. So they wanted me to go ahead and have those babies before anything bad happened to me. We had the C-section 30 minutes later. Called my parents. They immediately showed up.
We're about to go. It's baby time.
All my friends showed up, and I was wheeled into the C-section room, and that was a weird feeling. I don't know who is watching this that has ever had a C-section, but that is the weirdest feeling in the world. Anyway, the babies were born. Oh, and they were here, and I'm just gonna cry right now because They were the most important thing. And they were born. And that was just beautiful. They were beautiful. They were so beautiful, them being born. And to finally see my babies that I had been carrying and feeling and going through all that pain for, and it was finally over. It was amazing. So they were born, and then I started my process of spending time with them and getting to know them and loving on them, and my family loving on them, and my body healing. I had just gone through a C-section, so it was time for me to heal. So what comes with that is rest until you feel like you're able to move around. And so I was in the hospital for maybe 3 days, for a while, before I felt comfortable standing up and moving around. They want you to use the bathroom after you have a C-section, and that's kind of a sign that everything is working well and that everything is going okay. So I couldn't use the bathroom for a long time, and I kept trying. So one night I got up to use the bathroom, and I had to have help to walk in there. So the nurse walked me in there, and I think maybe my husband on one side and her on the other side. What happened was they sat me down on the toilet, and then I blacked out. Like, I just fainted. And when I came to, I didn't know how long I had been out. I heard them yelling at me to wake up, and they called another nurse in there to help me get back in the bed, and that was just like a weird thing, and it was really scary. Weird. So the next day I wanted to go home. I was ready to go home. I had been in there 3 days. I was ready to take my babies home. I felt pretty good. I couldn't really walk around. I felt still kind of weak, but I was trying to make myself feel like I was ready to go home because I wanted to go home, and I was ready to eat real food and all that. So I was waiting for the doctor to give me the okay to go home, and she took a while to finally come see me. And when she did, she's like, you don't seem like you're ready to go home. And my stomach was like still really big, and she's like, you're not ready to go home. I'm going to keep you and monitor you to make sure you're okay still. So that next morning, I got my blood taken, and a little while later, a nurse comes in and said, your blood count is really low. We're sending you down for an MRI to figure out what's going on. You may have some internal bleeding. So I got sent down to get an MRI and see what was going on. So they give you this iodine, I think it is, so that the machine can pick up all your blood vessels and stuff. So they gave me the iodine to get it all through my blood system, so the machine can pick up my blood work and stuff, and they can figure out what's going on and why I'm losing blood. And I go back up to my room, and I have a bad reaction to the medication. My back started twitching in pain, like the most excruciating pain ever. Like I thought I was gonna die laying in bed, and it just started twitching all in my back and my shoulders, and I couldn't move, and I was just screaming. And I'm the type of person, like I said, that I can take a lot of pain, so if to see me in pain like that is really scary. And my husband was right there watching the whole thing. So after the bad reaction to the MRI and the iodine, I get hooked up for a blood transfusion because I have lost so much blood that my blood needs to be replaced. So they go ahead and hook me up to receive a blood transfusion. I call my parents to come down, and it's a really hard time for everybody to grasp what's all happening. They immediately After my parents got there, they immediately fixed me up for surgery because they found in the MRI that I had a big pool of blood in my abdomen. And it's just like settling there. And that is why I had such a distended belly, and why I wasn't allowed to go home wasn't because I couldn't use the bathroom. It was because my distended belly was due to blood pooling. So it's kind of disturbing to think about that that's what that was, making my belly so big. So they go in to do the surgery. They go in to fix the internal bleeding. And they weren't able to find the exact place of what was causing the bleeding, so they just do something to where it clots all my vessels. Anything that was open, it would clot it. So I come out of surgery and everything is fine and start trying to recover. My parents leave and everybody leaves me for the night. My husband stayed with me and we were just really exhausted and we try to get some rest. Well, that's when things turned for the worse. As if it couldn't get any worse. That night I had trouble breathing. I kind of had a loss of breath. I don't know how to describe it, but I couldn't catch my breath. And it kept happening throughout the night. And I would call the nurse in to tell her what was going on, but basically she did very little to help. She called a respiratory therapist in. The respiratory therapist gave me some breathing exercises to do, and that was basically it. As soon as he left and everything, I still couldn't breathe, and they made it sound like, it was because I wasn't breathing right or something. So all night I just couldn't breathe, and I called her so many times I just gave up on telling her, and I just struggled within myself throughout the night trying to breathe. I couldn't wake my husband up and tell him what was going on. He was next to me in the guest recliner sleeping. I couldn't even raise my voice enough to call him and wake him up. So all this was going on and he was sleeping and I was in the bed next to him and I can't breathe. I was just gasping for air all night, and I knew shift change was 7, usually, around 7:15 I would get a new nurse. So I was just looking at the clock all night, holding out till 7:15. And around 7 o'clock I called my mom on my cell phone and told her that I couldn't breathe, and she was on her way. So 7:15 comes, I'm laying there like barely breathing, and the nurses come in to check me, and they immediately saw that something was wrong. Their alert went on emergency, and they immediately ran and called the doctor and came in and hooked me up to breathing oxygen mask and everything to help me get some oxygen and some air. And from there things just got bad. The doctor came in and said, this could mean you have a clot on your lungs, a blood clot on your lungs, and I'm really worried about that, and I really want you to get an MRI to see what's going on. My previous doctor had told me never get another MRI because of my bad reaction. People die from those type of reactions that I had to the MRI and the iodine. For a while, my family and I had to struggle with reaction to the MRI could cause death, or blood clot on the lungs could cause death. So that was something we were weighing. Should we go ahead and do this MRI, or should we just ignore the fact that there's a blood clot, or could be a blood clot on the lungs? So that was a really serious time for us, and we ended up waiting, because we fought pretty hard against the MRI and seeing if there were other options. It turned out there were other options, and they came up with a team of doctors to give us some other ideas on what to do. They gave me another lung scan and gave me some medication. What the lung scan found was there was no blood clot on the lung, and there was fluid on the lungs. So I had to have medication that would draw the fluid out. And also by drawing the fluid out, it drew out and dried up all my breast milk. So I wasn't able to breastfeed after that, and I never was able to pick it back up. I did get to breastfeed my babies for that first week, and maybe about 3 or 4 days, and after that I wasn't able to do it again. And that was, like, you know, really emotionally hard. I was going through so much physically, but also emotionally, because I got sent down to the ICU for my breathing problems, and that took me away from my babies. My babies had to stay up in labor and delivery while I was in ICU, working on getting my health back to normal. So after the medication was able to take some of the fluid off my lungs, and I was able to get back to my normal self with breathing, I was able to be reunited with my babies, and that was such a happy day for me to be able to start actually recovering again and to be with my babies once again. So in total, I was in the hospital for 11 days. Alright, come on.
Mama's feeling much better, walking around. 10 days in the hospital. Thank God. She's feeling and being much better. That's all, hey, man. And Mama with Aden. She got beaten.
And I was finally able to go home. We brought our babies home and started the process of getting to know them and getting settled in and adjusted to our new life at home with our new twin babies. So I want to thank you guys for listening to my story and watching my videos. If you've had any experiences like this, like I had, don't hesitate to share them in the comments. I would like to hear your stories, or do a response video. I would love to hear your stories too. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.